Okay, today we're going to be adding in notes into our composition book. I'd like for you guys to copy this into your composition book, and then you guys can take a picture and submit it to me under Google Classroom. So today we're going to be writing an equation of an exponential given 2 points. So again, writing an exponential equation given 2 points. So I'm going to put that title on my page of notes. So writing an exponential equation given 2 points. The first couple of examples I'm going to give you from a graph, and then a couple of other examples I'm going to give you with just the points and no graph. So, example 1. We're going to draw a graph. We're going to be putting on 0, 1 and 1, 6 onto our graph. So we have a point at 0, 1 and a point at 1, 6. And remember, we always have our asymptote for these at y equals 0. And there's my graph. So I am going to be making a table, and just a little reminder, these graphs should have an equation y equal a times b to the power x. That's the type of form they should have. So I'm going to make a table, xy table, using these 2 points. One is going to be 0, 1. The other is going to be 1, 6. This is a nice one because these are in order. It's also nice because they give us our 0, which is our start. So our 0 is here at 0, 1. So our start is going to be at 1. So I know my equation is going to be y equal 1 times some b to the power x. Again, my a is my 1. It's my start. It's my 0. Now my b is going to be my multiplier. So how am I going from here to here? What am I multiplying by? So I'm multiplying by 6. So that means my multiplier is 6. So now this is going to be y equal 1 times 6 to the power x, and that's our equation. In the second example, I'm going to give you one where it's a decreasing one, and we have a point maybe on this side, on the left side of the graph. So example 2. I'm going to give you a point at negative 1, 4, negative 1, 4, and 0, 1. And again, we have an asymptote at y equals 0. And again, the equation is going to be the form y equal a times b to the power x. So I'm going to get my table going. And I'm going to start with my point from the left side to the right side. So I'm going to start with negative 1, 4. And then I have 0, 1. So again, in this one, I see my zeros, so that's nice, and they're in order one right after the other, so that's also a nice one. So here, this is going to be my start, my A. So I know it's going to be y equal 1 times sum b to the power x. Then I need to figure out what I am multiplying by to get from here to here. So I was at 4 and now I'm at 1. So I am dividing by 4, which is the same as multiplying by 1/4. So my b is going to be 1/4. So my equation is going to be y equal 1 times 1/4 to the power x. Now, in the next example, I'm going to give you ones that are spread out. They aren't one right after the other. There is a gap. And I'm going to also give you one that maybe isn't when you can see just by looking at the graph what you're multiplying by. So, example 3. We're going to have a point at 0, 3. And then I'm going to give you a decimal, 4, 4.3923. We're just going to approximate where that one is on the graph. And so again, let me draw my points. I have one at 0, 3. And the other one's going to be at 4. Ish. It's going to be at 4, 4.3923. And then we have our asymptote again at y equals 0. And let me graph my exponential. And this will also have an equation of the form y equal a times b to the power x, again where a is our start, our 0, and b is what we're multiplying by. Now this one I have a gap, so in my table I will have a gap. I'm going to start with 0, 3. And then I'm going to leave a space for 1. Don't know what 1 is yet. 2, 3, and then I do know 4. 4, 4.3923. And so I do know my start. I know my A because my 0 is 3. So right now I know my equation is going to be the form y equal 3 times sum b to the power x. I need to figure out what that b is. So what I'm going to do is I know that I'm going to be multiplying each time by that b. So I'm going to take 3, multiply it by b, so this is going to be 3b. Multiply by b again, so this is going to be 3b squared. Multiply by 3 again, so this is going to be 3b to the third, and multiply by b again, so it's going to be 3b to the fourth. This is kind of like what we did when we were doing geometric means, where we had a gap in between for our geometric sequences. Same idea. So now I am going to write an equation. This is going to be the equation I'm going to solve. So let me just circle that. So this right here is going to be the equation I'm going to be solving. So I'm going to take 4.3923 is equal to 3b to the fourth, and I'm going to solve that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that 3 by dividing both sides by 3. So I'm going to divide this side by 3 and I'm going to divide this side by 3. And so in my calculator, let me do that. So 4.3923 divided by 3 is 1.641. So let me write that. So I'm going to get 1.4641 is equal to b to the 4th. Now to get the b, I'm going to have to take the 4th root. So I'm going to take the 4th root of 1.4641. And when I take the 4th root of this, I get b. So on my calculator, I'm going to do this. You can do this on your phone calculator. You can also do it on Desmos. Desmos does do this also. It is a calculator. So I'm going to take the 4th root of 1.4641, and I actually get a nice answer. I get a 1.1. So b is equal to 1.1. That's what I was multiplying by. So now my equation is going to be y equal 3, because that was our start, it's our 0, times 1.1 to the power x. Now I'm going to give you one more example like this with a gap, but this time I'm going to only give you the points. I'm not going to do it on a graph. So example 4. Write exponential equation y equal a times b to the power x, that's the format we're doing, through points 6, 729 and 2, 144. Okay, so again, I know it's going to be of the form y equal a times b to the power x. I'm going to make a table. I'm going to start at 0, even though I don't know my 0, and I'm going to go in number order. So I don't know 0 or 1. 2 I know is 144. 3, 4, 5, and then 6 I know is 729. So in this case I don't know my a, but so I'm not going to find my a first. I'm going to find my b first. I'm going to start with the one I know, which is 144, and I know I'm going to be multiplying it by something. I'm going to be multiplying it by b. So it's going to be 144b times that by b again, 144b squared, times that by b, 144b to the 3rd, times that by b, 144b to the 4th. So this is the equation that I'm going to be solving. So let me solve that right here. So I'm going to have 729 is equal to 144b to the 4th. And now I'm going to solve for b. First thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 144. So let me take 729 divided by 144, and I get this decimal, 5.0625. So let me write that. 5.0625 is equal to b to the 4th. So then I'm going to take the 4th root, because this is a 4th power. It's not always a 4th power. These two examples just happen to be. So I'm going to take the 4th root of 5.0625, and I'm going to take the 4th root of b. And so now when I put that into my calculator, 4th root of, snag that, And I get 1.5. I got another nice B. So I get 1.5 is equal to B. So right now, I know the following. I know my equation is going to be y equals sum A, don't know my A, times 1.5 to the power x. Now, I can do this a couple different ways. I can go backwards to find it. I know that what I'm doing is, this tells me that I am multiplying by 1.5. So what I can do is now I can go backwards and I can divide by 1.5. So going backwards here, I'm going to take 144 divided by 1.5, and I get 96. So now I'm going to get 96 here. And I'm going to divide that by 1.5, and I'm going to get 64. So now I'm going backwards again. I'm going to get 64. So now I know that my A is 64 because it is my 0. So my equation is going to be y equals 64 times 1.5 to the power x. Now I'm going to give you one more example, and I'm going to do this example in this, well, I'm going to do the same example in a different form using systems of equations. So you can use whichever form you prefer, but the book will sometimes start you off in the system of equation form, so I want to go through this. So it's going to be the same example. We're going to be doing an exponential equation. Again, y equal a times b to the power x. Again, through the same 2 points. 6, 729 and 2, 144. But this time I'm going to be plugging these in, substituting them into this equation and getting 2 equations. So I'm going to be putting the 6 in for the x and the 729 in for the y. And then I'm going to get a second equation by putting the 2 in for the x and the 144 in for the y. So my first equation, again, let me just write that I'm using this point, is going to be 729, that's my y, is equal to a, which I don't know, times b, which I don't know, to the power x, which is 6. So that's going to be one equation. My other equation is going to come from the 2, 144. So again, I'm going to put in my 144 into the y. So I'm going to get 144 is equal to a times b. And again, remember this is our x, so it's going to go into the x here, which is our exponent, and I get 2. Now, for this system, what you want to do is you want to get one of these equations to be either a equal or b equal. Looking at them, since the b's have the exponents, it's going to be easier to get them to be a equal. What I like to do is I always like to do the one, solve it for a that has the smallest exponent. So looking at these two, this is a power 6, this is a power 2, this is a smaller exponent. So this is the one that I'm going to solve for a. So I'm going to get this to be a equal. So all I'm going to do is just rewrite the equation. So to get rid of the b squared here, I'm going to be dividing this side by b squared, and then I'm going to be dividing this side by b squared. So again, I get 144 is equal to a times b to the second, and I'm going to get my a by itself by dividing this by b squared and dividing this by b squared. And then I get that 144 over b squared is equal to a. So this equation here is one that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be substituting this into this equation for my A. Okay? So again, I'm going to be substituting this into this equation for my A. Okay, it's going to go right there in place of my A. So now I'm going to take 729 is equal to, instead of my A, I'm going to put what A is, which is 144b squared, times b to the 6. So I substituted my 144b squared in for my A. So again, it was 729 times A times b to the 6, and I substituted this in for A. So now I'm going to clean this up a bit. So this is going to end up being 729 equals 144. And then what's going to happen is I have 6 b's on top, I have 2 b's on bottom. So what's going to happen is 2 on bottom are going to cancel out or make a 1 with 2 of these on top. So 2 here will cancel with 2 from here, and I will be left with b to the 4th. And it'll always be nice, again, if you solve for the one that has the smallest number of in the exponent, it'll always make it in a nicer form. You'll get your b's on top instead of on bottom. So now I'm going to solve this. This is exactly like what we were doing on the other examples. I'm going to get my b to the 4th by itself. I'm going to divide by 144. I'm going to divide by 144. And when I do, I'm going to take 729 divided by 144, which is 5.0625. Okay, so I get 5.0625 is equal to b to the 4th, which was the same that I got in the last problem because it is the same example. And now I'm going to take the 4th root of both sides. So I'm going to take the 4th root of this, and I'm going to take the 4th root of this, which is b. So again, when I put this into my calculator, and I take the 4th root of this, I get 1.5, nice number again. So 1.5 is equal to my b. So I know my b. So I know it's going to be y equal a times 1.5 to the power x because of this. Now to find your a, I can just substitute it into this equation. So because of this equation, I know that I'm going to get 144, and instead of it being b squared, I know it's going to be 1.5 squared, and that's going to give me my a, so I can put that in my calculator. So let me get that in my calculator. So I'm going to take 144 over 1.5 squared, and I end up getting 64. So my a is equal to 64. So I get y equal 64 times 1.5 to the power x. So I'm going to go through one more example. This example is going to have a negative number as an x. So you're going to get a negative exponent, so I want to go through one like that. So last example. So let's say we have one like this, right? Equation of exponential function through 2 comma 1.75 and -2 comma 28. So again, this equation is of the form y equal a times b to the x. That's the form we're going to be doing. So let me write that here. And we're going to be substituting these in for your x and y to get your two equations. So 2 comma 1.75 is going to give me 1.75 is equal to a times b to the power 2. Again, this went in for my y, and this one goes in for my x. And my next point is -2 comma 28. So my 28 is going to go in for my y, equals a times b, and then my -2 is going to go in for my x. So remember, when we're doing this, we're going to try to get the one that has the smallest exponent to be in a equal form. And so this one here, -2, is the smaller exponent. So I'm going to rewrite this one. And I'm going to rewrite this one by getting rid of this b to the -2nd by dividing both sides by b to the -2nd. So I'm going to divide this by b to the -2nd and this by b to the -2nd. So now I'm going to get 28 over b to the -2nd equals a. So seeing this, remember we do not like negative exponents. So when we have a negative exponent, we move it to the top or the bottom, depending on where it is, so that it changes signs. So since this is on the bottom, I can now move it to the top, and so now I have 28b squared is equal to a. And that's much nicer to deal with. So now I'm going to be using this as the equation that I'm going to substitute into the other equation for a. So now this is going to go into the other equation where my a would go. So I'm going to get 1.75 is equal to, and instead of my a, I'm going to be putting this, 28b squared times b to the 2nd. So again, this a is 28b squared times b squared. So y equal a times b to the 2nd. So now, let me clean this up. I have 1.75 is equal to 28, and a b squared times a b squared. I'm going to add the exponents using laws of exponents, and I get b to the 4th. And now I'm going to solve this problem. So I'm going to divide both sides by 28, and I get, let's see, on my calculator, 1.75 divided by 28 is 0.0625. So I get 0.0625 is equal to b to the 4th. And now I'm going to take the 4th root of both sides. So when I take the 4th root of 0.0625 and I take the 4th root of the other side, I get b. So when I put that into my calculator, okay, take the 4th root of, and I get 0.5. So I get 0.5 is equal to b. So now I know my b. So I know my equation is going to be y equal a times 0.5 to the x. And to find my a,